Hi and welcome to the Data Panda channel. Today we're going to take a look at deep linking in Power BI. My main use case for deep linking is when you scan, for example, an NFC tag or a QR code and it will automatically open a Power BI report. I created a little demo. So let's say, for example, I am a technician and I need to go to a machine, then I can just simply scan an NFC tag and it would automatically pull up the maintenance history of that machine, the usage history, a lot of those statistics. So it's a very convenient way to make information accessible on the go. Now let's take a practical look at how you can set up and use deep linking. A Power BI deep link is a special type of URI. So this is the structure. There are three types of information that you always need to provide. It's the report ID, the app or workspace ID, and the report page ID. And then there are some optional parameters as well, like the filter, the full screen. There are more parameters available. I'll add a link to the Microsoft documentation that goes more in depth on deep linking, but adding the filter and the full screen parameter are the ones that I always use in my work. So this is a little demo report that I created that I can just scan, for example, in our use case of a technician that needs to see the maintenance history of a machine. I have a multi-row chart visual here showing some details about the machine, and then you have the maintenance history. But what you can see is that here I have information of different machines listed and also the maintenance history of different machines. So there is no filter on a specific machine. But of course, when I scan a QR code, then I want to just see the records specifically tied to that particular device. So let's take a look at how we can set this up. This is the structure of the URL that we need to complete. So let's first look at our report ID. We'll go to our app, and you can use both report in a workspace or in an app, but I would always advise you that whenever you use something in production, I would always publish it as an app. It's way more, it's way easier to maintain and also set the access rights. So here I have published my report as an app, but it would follow the same logic if you have published it to a workspace as well. So I need to get my report ID, and then it's /reports, and then the first part after reports is my report ID, and it stops before the second / that you see here. So that is my report ID. I'm going to copy that to my URI. Then I need to get my app or workspace ID. Go back to our report. So that's the first part here after the apps. So now my second piece of information is in, and then the last one that I mandatorily need to provide is my report page ID. Let's go back one more time to my report, and then you have /reports, and then I had my report ID. But then if I also want to get the actual page of my report, then I can grab this second part, and you will also see it if you change the pages, then you can see this last part updating. So the second part is my page ID. So now we have provided all the mandatory information for that URI to work. But what I will also add here in this specific example is a filter, because if you remember, at the moment it's just showing all those different devices. But whenever somebody scans the NFC tag or a QR code, I want to pull up the information of that particular device. And to do that, we can use the filter tag. And the filter, you need to provide the combination of both the table and the field name. So let's take a look at Power BI Desktop to see how the table and field name is called. So I have my table here, it's called device, and then I have device ID, that is the name of my column. I'm going to go to my filter here, and then I need to say, okay, what is the name of my table? This was device. You do a / and then the name of your column. It was device ID. And it's case sensitive, so be careful with the name. And then you can say what type of filter it must be. Here, I want to say like a device ID equals a certain value. It's going to be EQ. And then I need to provide the actual value of my filter. Let's say, for example, I'm going to go for device 1001. Now I have my filter in place. Let's just double check if that is actually working, and that we can also do here if I just copy this part and go back to my app or my workspace. And if I then go to my reports, and at the end of the URL, I'm going to add my additional filter parameter. So you do ampersand and then it's the filter. So I'm going to say device/device ID equals value D1001. Refresh it, then I can see it's now filtered. And if I were to change it to 1002, then I will get the information of my second device. And then the last parameter that we haven't touched upon yet is the full screen parameter. And that's a useful one if you want to make sure that users are just sticking to the information that you want them to see. So it would open up the Power BI report, but it would remove the navigation part and they would just see the information based on the tag or the QR code that they have scanned. And this is how you would actually do it in a real world scenario, but rather than doing it manually and crafting those URLs, you would do it programmatically, and then you would automatically print out those QR codes or encode those NFC chips. If you enjoyed it thus far and you want to know more about this topic, for example, how to use NFC within Power BI, then I would advise you to watch this video.